Hey, how you doing? Good. All right. Okay, what we got for you tonight is I've got a little bit of expedition gear on the table, so once we take a break, you can guys go check that out. Some of it's been to Greenland, other parts have been to Yellowstone in the winter. Some of my gear's been down to minus 45 degrees, so have I. A little chilly, you can see my bag over there. That's actually what I slept in Yellowstone for 3 years, so it's what's kept me alive, and tonight I've been asked to make a presentation on what I use for backpacking. So I'm sure some of the adults have been trained in certain things that they have to carry for backpacking, so I would say your mileage may vary. If you have requirements that your troop has for things that you have to carry or not, then you should go with that. This is what I use. And these things, this pack's probably got about 500 or 600 miles on it. And as you can see, duct tape on the bottom. It's seen it's better, but it's still functional. Now let's see, how many scouts do we got here? Hopefully got enough printouts. You guys just want to pass these around, take one each. Hopefully we'll get to the end here. And what that is that's my checklist. So when I go out backpacking, years ago I didn't have a checklist and I made a huge mistake. Got everything in, thought I was good, starting to head up to Sequoia, mid-December, probably about 5 degrees. And I get to about Pomona, which is 2 hours away, and all of a sudden I remember, oh my gosh, I left my sleeping bag at home. Cell phone, pull over, hi, lodge, hey, do you have a room? Yeah. Okay. So I saved my trip, but boy, that's a critical mistake I can forget some things, but sleeping bag in snow, you know, it's going to trip over. So checklists are what I use, and it's one of those that when you go through your checklist, you don't look at it and say, yeah, I got all that. You might as well just throw it in the trash. You will lose something, you will miss something. I've never shown up without boots or jacket, but you know, sleeping bag, whew, boy, that was big. Some of my street credential I've done, I can pass this around, done the polar route in Greenland. It was about 108 miles in the Arctic tundra. And you're basically slogging above the tree line. It's like walking in a marsh and a bog for about 50 miles or so. And it's actually real soft. It's super cold. I actually saw the northern lights up there. They're very pretty. When they ripple across the sky, you think, oh, they kind of hang there. They move hundreds of miles in seconds. So when you watch it, just ripples and sparkles across the sky. So it's really quite fascinating. You can pass that around and see that. And that's right out of Backpacker magazine. They were really a great publication to learn some of these tips and tricks. So what I'm going to do is just break down my backpack and everything that's in there. I've got some of the clothing that I typically wear, and these are actually items that I have taken with me. So one of the first things that's real important when you go backpacking is you're going to smell bad by the end. Bring a change of clothes to drive home in, because, boy, nobody wants to smell you. Just a recommendation. You know, socks, shirts, shorts, because especially when you go up to the Sierras, it's a 6-hour drive home. You're sweaty and dirty, and you're like, oh, geez. So just something to be courteous to your fellow scouts. This is something I use to weigh all my gear. It's a little handy gadget, but I can show you what my backpack would weigh right now. I could take this and I'd be 2 days in the Sierras, okay, and that's only because I don't have that much water in there. And I don't only have 2 days worth of food. So fully loaded, this will weigh about 20 pounds. Now, for me, that's pretty heavy, but that's because I have water, fuel, and food in my pack. Normally what backpackers do when they go out is they say, what is your pack weight, your base weight? And the base weight is everything minus food and water. Because as you consume your food and water, your weight drops. So whatever your base weight is what you're going to carry the whole time. So the more junk you put in your pack, the more you're going to be doing this. Now back when I was a scout, I'm an Eagle Scout in 1992, we carried, it was almost 50-pound packs. My dad, Mr. Linsdau, he was actually my scoutmaster. And so we had 50-pound packs. Now consider I maybe weighed 110. So, you know, one of those big cases of paper you see at school, imagine putting that on your back. I mean, you can't even hardly carry the thing, and going uphill. Not so fun, right? So that would be 2.5 times the weight of this pack that we used to carry. You don't want to do that. I mean, none of you guys, does anybody weigh 110, 120? I mean, you don't want to be that heavy. You hit 50% of your body weight, your knees are going to hurt, you're going to need super heavy boots, and you're just going to have a bad time. You'll take your pack off to the point where you feel kind of floaty, not where you want to be. So let's get into this. So at the top of everybody's pack, that's where everybody keeps all their expensive stuff. I don't know why, but that's what we all do. So immediately, and you see on the checklist, I don't know if you guys have pens, but you go through the checklist as I bring things out and see if I've missed anything. It's possible. That's happened. I've lost my sleeping bag.
Use your pens, guys.
Something real important, sunglasses. You don't think about it much, but when we were scouts, we didn't really think about it. But I've got a little bit of UV damage on my eyes, and that's permanent. It doesn't affect my vision at all, but it's just something to watch for. I mean, just a pair of, these are Oakley, so they're kind of expensive, but just a pair of sunglasses keeps that sun off, because when you're at altitude, the UV is a lot brighter. Aquamira, this is what I use to clarify and purify my water. The chemical that it creates is chlorine dioxide. It's the same thing that the municipal water supply uses. There are lots of options out there, MSR, pens, SteriPens, pumps, filters, you name it. I go with this only because up until I went backpacking with my father, I found there's no failure to this. Your pump doesn't break, the SteriPen, I've seen people in the backcountry, they've had 2 break. You're 40 miles in, that little UV pin breaks. Now what? You're looking at Giardia camp, maybe, maybe not. So that's something to consider is all of your gear, if it breaks, what are you going to do? If you can't make clean water, man, you're in a world of hurt. And usually Giardia doesn't catch up to a month after, so you won't even think about why you're feeling sick. So it's something to watch out for. You can order these online. Your basic hygiene, toothpaste, toothbrush, clippers. Let's see, what else do I have in here? Tweezers, yes. So when you brush by and you get a little sticker, you sit on a log and you get a sticker in your thumb, what do? Tweezers. Nail clippers, real good and handy to have. Floss. These are salt pills because what I found years ago is I get a lot of cramps. And what I learned is they take a couple of salt pills and that really helps out. So it's something you learn over time of, well, I'm not feeling good and I'm feeling slow. That's what I learned. Hygiene when you go to the bathroom. A little one of these bottles. Give your hands a wash. That's a real common way to get sick too. Use the bathroom and you don't clean your hands. Just don't do it. Super important. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but you're 50 miles in, you're getting sick. That's a long walk home. This is my GPS rig. This is larger than I would prefer to carry, but like when I was in the Golden Trout Wilderness, that was an 80-mile trip, and a lot of the trekking was over places with no trails. It's a trade. Do you have a map and compass, which I also have in here, but I'm in a dark forest. It's 5 o'clock at night, kind of dark, and I still need to make 5 more miles. This is very handy. They're not cheap, and it's definitely heavy. But my trade for that time was I can make so much more mileage that it was worth it. And on the checklist, and it's in your scout book too, spare batteries. I've been out where it's cold, it's conked this thing, or my headlamp. Oh, no batteries, really? When I trek, I always carry a weatherproof journal. It's got a little space pin in here, so we can get it out. These are real handy. They're not particularly cheap, but I've done demos where this is waterproof paper, this is waterproof ink. You could go to the bottom of the pool, write on this upside down, and it'll write. This works from, I think it's minus 30 degrees to 200. If it's 200, you're in real trouble. But at minus 30 degrees, when I was in Yellowstone, it mattered. A regular cheap pen, it wouldn't have written, because I'm in my sleeping bag, I'm laying upside down writing. Regular pens don't do that. So it's just things you learn over the years of, it's cold, I need to keep a journal, because like in your scouts, 20 years, 30 years later, gosh, what did we do? I don't even remember. I wish I would have had a journal. Just write, we did this, I was with my buddy, we had a good time. years later it'll be invaluable to you. Navigation. What's one of your 10 essentials? Map and compass. Don't forget it. Let's see, what other goodies do I have in here? My camera, my headlamp. They're both heavier than I would like, but this is what I've got going right now just for whatever reason.